Today, our group will present about inflation targeting, a dominant strategy or not in the next decade, which is 2020 and 2030. And our group is Group 9 and has 3 members, Nguyen, Thuy, and Nguyen. Okay, so next, this is the agenda of our presentation today. We have 5 parts, and it's definitions, advantage and disadvantage, past performance, central bank strategy, and personal review. Okay, so to be in short conclusions, inflation target simply is a monetary policy to achieve the price stability, which is a very primary long-term important things of central banks. And it has main elements, which is public, the medium-term numerical targets for inflation, institutional commitment to price stability, information inclusive approach, increase transparency of the monetary policy strategy, and increase accountability of the central bank. Why? Next, this is the advantage and the disadvantage of the inflation target. First, understood and transparent, because when the inflation target will be published like in the community, and people will have more knowledge about the inflation target, and they will know more about the role of central banks, and moreover, they will promote to the people some like a debate about the inflation target, so we can raise the awareness of people about these strategies. That's why when everything being published is very like integrity. There is no integrities, and people will like feel more comfortable about that. Next, it will increase the accountability of the central banks. That's why I said because everyone knows about it, so they will have knowledge to believe in that or like to not believe in that. So they will believe in their choices, and that's why they will account in the central banks. And the performance of inflation also of inflation targeting regions also been good. But we have some disadvantage, which is first delay signaling, because we need to have to see some lag before we see the result. So we have to wait for a long time before we see the result. But this strategy, too much rigidity, because we just have a few numbers to rely on, and we have to analyze, and we have to foresee all the things just by these numbers. And potential for increased output fluctuations, like for example, I have an example about Japan. They have like deflations. So like many other economies have to they think that Japan should have inflation target at 2% or more. And maybe this change will create a big gap, because Japan have a very small inflation target. And possibility to economic growth is like a very easy way to understand, because this strategy will prevent the expansions of some industry, some business. So it may lead to the unemployment or the decrease of output. That's why it can lead to low economic growth. So next, Tuan will present about the past performance of some countries.
So to talk about the performance of different targeting over the last decade, I will talk about the performance of this monetary policy in UK. So as you can see in the slide, it is the graph illustrates about 27 countries which use inflation targeting, and the United Kingdom started to use this monetary policy in 1992, and the target will be set by the government through the Monetary Policy Committee to increase or decrease the interest of Bank of England to control the inflation. And at this time, the inflation is targeted at the rate of 1 to 4%, and to December of 2003, the target is changed to 2% and remain by now. This is the inflation of UK from 2003 to 2016, and this is the fluctuate line, and we'll focus on the time from 2007 to 2011. It is the most fluctuate. You see that in the inflation in UK reached the peak on in 2008. It is the time of financial crisis, and UK was being affected strongly by this crisis. So the inflation targeting was not work in this didn't work in this period, and after the crisis, the inflation targeting in UK also doesn't work. It still doesn't work, and the government can remain the inflation in the target, and you can see that the inflation always higher or lower 1% or more than the target. So I think that the inflation targeting in United Kingdom doesn't work effectively. And then Tuan will talk about the alternative central bank strategy.
So besides the inflation targeting, there are now the strategy that central bank use to control the economy. So firstly, I want to introduce the money supply targeting. In the 1980s, there are several countries use this method based on the constant growth of money supply. So the idea of this method that central bank choose to set a money supply growth target in order to keep the price stable in the long term. However, this strategy is considered as a weak policy because it's not stably related to the real output growth. The second thing I want to introduce that the fixed exchange rate targeting is maintaining a fixed exchange rate with a foreign currency. The central bank usually use this kind of method in order to take advantage of a price stability and also control the inflation. So they are a varying degree of fixed exchange rate, and it shows the relations of the rigid level. So firstly, in the first fixed rate, which is extremely rigid. The second is the fixed convertibility, and the next is the exchange rate maintained by the currency board, and the last one is the dollarization for each currency. The next strategy that I want to introduce that the nominal income, which also called the nominal GDP targeting. So this is the strategy that not focused on the inflation rate, but focused on the gross domestic product and the nominal gross domestic income. Now the central bank do not implement this monetary policy explicitly. However, this monetary policy is better match welfare of optimizing monetary compared to more standard policy targeting like inflation targeting or others. So the last one I want to introduce that the price level targeting, which is very similar to the inflation targeting, however, because it also uses the CPI as the major tool to control the price stability. So The inflation targeting is in the next decade, we need to find another solution that use inflation targeting, especially with some dependent central bank. Because I think it should be the one-size-fits-all solution. Because firstly, inflation targeting is hamper the job growth. The main tool that inflation targeting use is CPI, and it's become rather than use the cost of living index. So let's take an example of the Australia when the mortgage price had removed in the 1998. So that because they pushed the CPI higher by the very interest rate is meant to bring the inflation down. So as a result, the inflation targeting forcing the policymaker to restrict the growth and also prevent the job creation, leading to unemployment rate higher than it should be. The second, then another lead, inflation targeting is inappropriate response to the supply shock and also the trade shock, and also is neglect the output shock by focusing on the softly on the price level. And also the rate of inflation, and this will disregard the economic growth. Unlike the United States, when the Fed try to focus, when the Fed mandate try to focus on also the output and also the price level. And I think it's more suitable if we use the nominal income targeting rather than use the inflation targeting, especially for the dependent central bank. More central bank who rely on the inflation targeting, which not also pay enough attention to the asset price bubble. So this is the end of our presentation. Thanks for listening.
Okay, thank you so much. Now back to my country, to our country. So I would like to know, Linh, right?
Yes.
Which types of monetary policy framework that State Bank of Vietnam apply?
I think State Bank of Vietnam they not focus on framework, but they have many multiple choices.
So why do you think that State Bank of Vietnam is ready for applying that inflation?
I think the State Bank of Vietnam is not ready to apply the inflation targeting because of the disadvantage of inflation targeting is possibility to low economic growth and is not suitable for developing country, which we need to pay more to develop their economic.
So do you think, can you name some conditions that State Bank of Vietnam should satisfy to adopt the inflation targeting? If the State of Vietnam want to.
I think we don't have to focus on the inflation while with the developing country we meant to keep the inflation higher than the developed country, and I think we need to focus on the welfare development and also to keep the price stability and also keep the GDP growth have increased to become the developed country.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you so much.